Hello and welcome to the final reveal of our project in Westlands, Nairobi County. Now for this project, our main objectives were making the smaller rooms feel bigger and just adding a bit of class to multiple spaces. From Fine Urban Interiors, and I'll be taking you through this reveal today. Let's meet downstairs. So over here at the front of the house, this area does serve as a car park, and sometimes the kids like to come outside here. So in order to keep this place looking bright, we opted to go with this transparent shade instead. A car shade would actually block out most of that light, so this was the perfect solution because it still provides the shade but lets in the light. Let's start off in the living room. It has this absolutely gorgeous wooden floor, which was originally here. All we did was give it a nice polish and a new coat of varnish to make it feel fresh and newer. But we also wanted to make sure that anything else we added worked well with that floor. For the color scheme, we chose this off-white alongside white features that we've added to this room. That alongside the light that comes into this room really helps in keeping the room feeling so bright, and this also helps in that element of making it feel much bigger than it is. Now, one of the main modifications that we did for this room was shifting the placement of the fireplace, and I'll talk about that in a bit. For now, let's take a look at the ceiling. It is plain white, very bright, and we went for very simple shapes like the circle in the center to highlight the centerpiece of the room, as well as the rectangular shape overall. So let's get into the lighting. We're gonna start with this absolutely beautiful chandelier that is the centerpiece of this room. It's made of glass crystals and has golden accents. We wanted those elements to carry through to the other lighting fixtures, and as you can see over here, we have these wall lights that do contain those same schemes of the glass and the gold accents. I actually have to get into a bit more detail about these because they're absolutely beautiful and they match so well with the chandelier because it also has this glass detail and the gold coloring on it. It just creates an amazing flow through the space. Now, each one of these rods had to be individually installed, which I think is just quite the feat because I would have at least broken half of those rods. Now let me tell you a bit more about this space here. This is where the original fireplace used to be, and it was so disruptive because the client could not use this space for anything else. But by moving it, we've been able to create so much space where they could add seating. But let me show you where we actually placed the fireplace. So this is where we decided to put the fireplace. And we think it worked out very well because it also helps to make this the focal point of the entire room. Now at the bottom, we left it open for a very good reason. We wanted to give our client the option to add a TV console if they wanted to. For these projects, I usually tell you about a room that I love or a space that is totally in my style. But for this project, I have completely fallen for certain design elements like these columns. They're such a beautiful touch, and I love the elegant feel that they bring to this space, but I also love the finish of them. They were done absolutely spectacularly. So they're also a very creative way to kind of close off the space, which was initially too big. So we added in the columns as a feature that could help close it off, but also added this arc that does the same function. Now let's get into the dining and take a further look. So this is the dining room. You can tell it's quite small, so we had to come up with some creative ways to make it feel a bit bigger. And one of the main things we did was demolish a wall that existed right here. This whole section was a wall, and it only had a very small opening. So what we did, we took that down and then replaced that with these columns that still managed to define this space as its own, and also makes it one of the more unique spaces that we've done for this project. As you can see, similarly to the living room, we kept the floor the same, just polished and added a new layer of varnish to make it feel new. Another thing we did to make this space feel bigger was the use of mirrors. We love a good broken mirror design, but we wanted something a bit more unique that could catch your eye, whether you're in the living room or the hallway. Now let's take a look at the ceiling for the dining room. We wanted it to feel similar to the one in the living room, but still have its own unique touch. So for the center, we went with the same circular design. We also included the recessed light, as well as the beautiful chandelier that's also in the living room. But to make it a bit more unique, over here, close to the windows, we did include this small design detail that does make it feel quite unique without being way too busy. So in between the dining area and the staircase, we have this small hallway area where we were actually able to modify the floor for this section. So adding this bright white graphite tile really helps in brightening this area. You can see the full effect of these lights. They really truly increase the brightness of this space. As you are about to head up the stairs, we thought it would be a great idea to have this broken mirror design in this beehive pattern. This is the second design element that I totally love in this project. And I think it's just a great introduction to the staircase, and it's also something you can enjoy as you come down the stairs. Now let's head up and I can talk to you about what we did on the top floor. So this is the top floor, and I think it turned out so beautiful. I love how simple, clean, and classic this whole space feels, and I'm going to talk you through some of the elements that we used to achieve it. Now for this back wall, we could have gone for one single big piece of wainscoting detail, but instead we chose to play around a bit and make it a bit more interesting by adding separate sections of it. It just makes the wall look less plain. On this wall, we've used wainscoting, although we've used it in a very different way that we did for the other wall. Here, we've used it to frame this section that we knew we wanted to use for display. Now let's head over to the main wall. With this being the main wall of this space, we knew we wanted to make a bit more of a statement. So we mimicked what we did downstairs for the living room with the inclusion of the open shelving, as well as the wooden planks at the bottom, which is a feature that I do love to see in all of our projects. Alongside it, we have more wainscoting. Now this section could stay plain, but if the client chooses, they could also add something in later. Over here is another piece that we love to include in our projects. Is this plank feature, which is in dark brown, and you can tell in this project there's a lot of brown. so that fits in perfectly. You may notice that this area has quite a bit of light. That's because we included these 2 spotlights that highlight this main wall. This is the kids' bedroom. Now there's quite an extensive amount of work that we did in this room, but we'll get into that a bit later. For now, let's talk about the color scheme. It's kind of obvious who this room is tailored for, and that's part of the reason why I love it so much. It doesn't feel too childish, it kind of feels a bit more mature, but in a way that any child that comes into this room can still really enjoy it. You can see there's 2 colors that we've chosen for the wall. We have this darker mauve pink color that they can really grow with, as well as this lighter pink. And I think having those 2 colors on this wall really accentuates it. For the center, we chose to have this simple ceiling lamp because we wanted the walls to remain the statement. Now, the reason we chose not to do a mural for this room is because we wanted to explore a different way of still bringing in the same ideas that make kids' rooms feel very personalized. And this time, we chose to have wall hangings. This will give the kids more flexibility. This room also has this lovely big window, which we thought would be the best place to put this customized study table that accommodates 2. Now we designed it so that each person had their own space. Either side does have 3 drawers so that nothing gets mixed in together. So this door that you see here was originally on the other end. Now you can see how this would cause a problem. By moving that door, we were able to create so much more space on the interior, which I will be showing you in a second.
So open natoka hapo kwa hiyo ile nataka kufanya practical. Ni hapa. Pale kuna msemo na mtu na ndio vile na 14 sasa kama 400 training gas chop kutoka nje ni kama chote tafika sama hapa 700 na mambo yatawaka.
We replaced all the fixtures like the toilet bowl and the sink. And due to all the room that we created, we were able to fit in this jacuzzi. Now, what was initially here was just a bathtub, but we thought it would be a better idea to have the jacuzzi because it gives a more luxurious feel. Now, overall, the bathroom has been completely transformed and has so much more space. So this is the outside dining area. There's a door leading straight from the inside dining area to this space. So we thought it would be a great extension of that and would give our clients the options to entertain outside or even just have a family dinner outside. Now, to make this the optimal experience, we knew they would need shade because you don't necessarily have to use it only for dining at night, but you could use it during the day as well. So we chose to have this see-through roofing. Now it's being held up by this metallic structure that we painted black just to create a bit of contrast. But I think overall this place, it's such a nice place. I would want to sit here during the day or even for breakfast. I could sit out here, have a glass of juice and maybe eat some eggs. But I think we did a very, very good job when it came to creating this space. Thanks for joining me on yet another final reveal video, and feel free to leave us a comment. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Fine Urban Interiors. Catch you on the next one.